Hi, I'm Nate, and welcome to Super Nate Millimeter, a show where me and my friend Devin talk about various movies that we like.
Today we're talking about musical movies, and we have our top 10, so I'm going to start with my number 10, the 2011 Muppets movie. I enjoy it because it's quite funny. It deserved the Oscar it won for Best Original Song.
Brent McKenzie of Flight of the Conchords fame does all the music for it. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Any discrepancies with that one?
Not really. I mean, it only falls apart at Muppets Most Wanted. That's my only problem with it, the sequel.
Yeah.
But no, it was quite an enjoyable Muppets movie. I mean, like Jason Segel, who I don't...
He wrote it.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Like, I don't like him in a lot of things, and I liked him in that, so...
Okay, what's your number 10?
Okay, my number 10 is Yellow Submarine, the fourth movie the Beatles made. And it's essentially an animated, trippy, weird musical with the music of the Beatles that's just like...
See, I think if you're going to say any Beatles movie, you would say Help before you would say Yellow Submarine.
I don't like Help for personal reasons, as in...
What, do you have bad memories associated with it? It's a fantastic film. Oh, okay, we won't go into this.
I don't. I personally enjoy Yellow Submarine more just because of nostalgia, and I grew up watching Yellow Submarine way too many times.
Okay. Well, my number 9 is Dreamgirls. I think the performances are what I enjoy most about it, especially Jennifer Hudson. She won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress after this movie, and she deserved it.
A little show off here. Okay, never mind.
So no disagreements
okay.
there?
I'm going to get into this very briefly, but it's kind of a show-offy movie, specifically for Jennifer Hudson.
Yes.
I don't like that. It's a movie specifically, like, I'm telling you I'm not going anywhere, whatever the title is, I just butchered it. That song is literally made specifically for the intention of whoever to sing it, just to show off. And, like, the entire plot of the film is kind of structured around that. You can't structure a movie around one song. Like, the basic emotions of the movie, like, Jamie Foxx is kind of terrible in that movie.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Yeah, he's not great, but I like her so much that I forget he's in it.
Okay, moving on. My number 9 is the movie South Park, Bigger, Louder, and Uncut. This movie is really interesting because it was essentially made as a giant middle finger to the MPAA.
Yep.
So what the Trey Parker and Matt Stone essentially did is it's just 2 hours of like the most gross out humor you can possibly imagine, but it's done really well in like the way of satire, and it makes fun of so many different like elements of classic musical theater. Like the opening is your basic song of introducing the town, like look at that strange girl Belle, etc. And then it goes into deeper, and it's like Les Mis and Blame Canada was nominated for an Oscar too, and it was performed by Robin Williams at the Oscars. So just saying, it's like just a brilliant movie that I actually like more than I like the TV series. I feel the TV series plays jokes a little too long, but this is just like a nice, tightly paced, really well-made comedy.
I like it, but I like the show more. I'm more familiar with it. I'm sure if I'd seen this more than once, I would agree with you. So, my number 8 was Wizard of Oz.
Classic.
It's classic. It reminds me of being a kid, and it's just, there's not really anything horrible about it, in my opinion.
It's also a metaphor for economics.
It is a metaphor for economics, hidden in a children's movie about a farm that goes in a tornado. Like, I just really enjoy it.
Gold standard, it's weird, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. It has a nice, vibrant look to it, especially since it's one of the first Technicolor movies.
Yes.
And yeah, not much to say about it. It's kind of a classic. My number 8 is a movie called The Gold Diggers of 1933, which, if you've heard of this musical theater director, Bubsy Berkeley, he's famous for these giant, grand musical numbers with very attractive women doing various like spiraling motions from overhead shots. It's especially in, if you've seen The Big Lebowski, it kind of uses that. There's the dream sequence in that very much plays on his style of directing.
You told me yourself that the plot isn't that great.
The plot sucks, but the musical numbers are more than enough to make up for it.
See, when you were talking about Jennifer Hudson showing off, I immediately thought of you putting this on your list to show off.
The thing is, yeah, it's
We get it. You know about Bubsy Berkeley. Good for you. Anyway.
Oh, this isn't even the most pretentious thing I've talked about.
Okay.
Anyway,
We have the same number 7, which is Rocky Horror Picture Show. What is there to say? It's classic. It's not just a classic. It's a cult classic. It's still viewed in theaters.
The songs
are awesome.
Are great.
Yeah.
They rock. Tim Curry, amazing performance in it. And young Susan Sarandon.
So fantastic. That's all we can really say. My number 6 is Little Shop of Horrors, the '86 remake version. I think it's very kitschy and funny. And the music, you know, it's not the best music for a musical, but it's really funny, and I think that just redeems it, and I enjoy it.
Alan Menken did the music for that, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's Alan Menken. I don't know. I have personal problems with Alan Menken as a music writer, but I won't delve into that. I specifically like Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors. He's by far the best part.
Yeah,
Song about being a dentist, just hilarious.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Cabaret, the Bob Fosse movie. Just because it is a classic musical that not many people seen, that's also able to delve into Nazi Germany and like covers this like dark, corrupt world of Cabaret, giving Joel Grey an absolutely brilliant performance as the MC. If you know Cabaret people, a lot of them will say Alan Cumming is the best MC. I disagree. Joel Grey is the best MC. And Liza Minnelli, also really great in that movie.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I enjoyed it. It just didn't make it on my list, although I think it should have, but you win that.
All That Jazz, another Bob Fosse movie. I would want to try to find space for it, but I couldn't. That's autobiographical, but.
Yeah. My number 5 is Singin' in the Rain. Sort of out of obligation to the fact that it's a classic, and I do enjoy it.
I stuck Singing in the Rain as my number 2.
Why?
Because as it's a classic, but there's so many iconic moments that people like know about, like spinning around a lamppost while it's raining with an umbrella. If you do that, everyone can identify that with Singing in the Rain. Make them laugh, the ceiling walks and stuff in that. Those are classic things that people remember and can recognize. And it's also, like, it's basically the plot of The Artist before The Artist came out. Only, like...
Yeah, and I think The Artist was a call to those kind of movies.
Yeah, it was. It was specifically made as an homage. But
yeah, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, well, never mind. Anyway, we're strapped on time, so I don't really want to get into that, but...
What was your number 5?
My number 5 is the Blues Brothers movie.
Also known as my number 4. So.
Yeah, it's just a classic. It's, I believe, the first Saturday Night Live movie, if not one of them. But it's, yeah, John Belushi's great, and
Dan Aykroyd.
I forgot him. Just like classic, incredibly funny, tongue-in-cheek musical numbers, and basically they got like every single blues singer they could find to be in that. I mean, like Ray Charles has a great bit.
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin has a great bit in it.
And it's a classic for obvious reasons. Like they revolutionized sunglasses with that movie.
Yeah.
So,
like the ending is probably more destructive than like the ending of Man of Steel. I mean.
Exactly. Where are we now? Oh, that was my number 4.
Yeah.
So what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the classic Gene Wilder film about murdering children in a chocolate factory. It's just brilliant performance on Gene Wilder's front, like amazing career making.
Yeah.
Just, it's bright, vibrant. The production design is great, and the fact that they shot it like all on massive studio lots. They basically made that candy room, and it's crazy and incredible, and like way better than Tim Burton's, but
Yeah, and I agree with all of that, and that's why it's my number 3. So, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is West Side Story, which is your number 1.
Yes, it's fantastic. You can't say it's anything less than number 1.
My major objection with it is they cast a white actress to play a Hispanic character.
Okay, I agree with that.
That's my major problem with
it.
They
did that with most of the cast.
And they had to dub over like 2 different actors, and yeah, singing voice-wise.
And I'm glad they did, because I don't want to hear their actual voices.
It's not bad, it's just I don't like musical dubbing in musicals because it kind of takes away from, like, and if you're acting in a musical movie, singing has to be part of it. You have to be able to sing. Like Johnny Depp in Into the Woods or Sweeney Todd. He can sing. And that's why those roles are better.
I think the problem was that is people stick to that standard and they put people in movies who can't sing and shouldn't sing.
You're referring to Russell Crowe?
I am referring to Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Who wouldn't be? Because he was terrible in Les Mis. I'm sorry, not terrible. He was more than terrible. I don't know what word that would be.
I'm not a fan of him, but that's to the fact of they should find actors who can sing.
Oh, I agree.
That should be their casting. They shouldn't cast
But they sacrifice talent for getting the people who will bring in money, you know?
I know, but when you have certain movies, I feel the art should come before the money.
I agree, but they don't think that way.
Studio system in the...
My number 2 was Hard Day's Night.
Which is my number 1.
And the only reason it wasn't my number 2 or my number 1 was because West Side Story was made. And I think it's fantastic, the music in it.
Well, it's the Beatles. Like,
It's not
how
just
can you go wrong?
some of the best, you know, like musical movie music. It's some of the best music ever. It's entertaining, it's goofy and weird, and I like it a lot.
And I mean, like, just if you consider the jokes and the editing, it's so fast-paced. I mean, like, calls to mind specifically the bicycle moment outside the train. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that comes out of nowhere, and it's just, everything's fast. Like, the Beatles don't shut up. They are just ready for a joke right one after another. And it's just really great. It inspired so much in the music industry. Like, basically the entire idea of MTV was from Hard Day's Night, and music videos in general. Like, none of that would happen without Hard Day's Night, which is...
And they did that with a few of their movies, fast-paced humor.
Help falls a little succumb to them being way too high to really do
I
great
agree.
performances.
But the skiing scene.
The skiing scene, they're infamous for literally running off the mountain to go and smoke weed. Like, I would argue that, like, they were starting to count pot, and a Magical Mystery Tour is a terrible movie. Like, god-awful. Like, it sucks so bad. So...
But the Beatles, you can't go wrong with that.
You can if Paul tries to direct. Don't direct movies, Paul McCartney.
This is why George is my favorite. Your number 2 was Singing in the Rain, right?
My number 2 was Singing in the Rain, and your number 1 was West Side Story.
I can keep talking about West Side Story for days. West Side Story won 10 Oscars, I believe.
It won 10. It was nominated for 11.
Nominated for 11. What did it lose?
Screenplay.
Oh, well, yeah. I think choreography's amazing. Singing, dubbed, yes, still amazing. One of the actors who played Ice sang for like 3 different roles. Good for you. What else? It's just, well, it's so well made, and there's nothing wrong with it that I can find when watching it.
I've already expressed a lot of my discrepancies with it. It's also kind of dated if you watch it now. Like, I mean, it doesn't have a timeless quality. Like, Hard Day's Night stands up now, and it doesn't really come across as dated. You can tell that this was made...
I think it's the best way to do an homage to Romeo and Juliet, because I actually hate Romeo and Juliet.
As a play? Or
as a play.
Okay.
And I think...
But I feel there are better versions of the story already told.
Well, I disagree.
Like,
Like what?
Oh, I was going to say Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, then I realized that's a direct adaptation. So
yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I think...
I don't know, Nomeo and Juliet?
Nomeo and Juliet? You think that's better than West Side Story?
No, I just wanted to piss you off. Anyway,
I can tell.
So anyway, that was our list of top 10 movies. Vote online on the link in the description of the video, and vote in the poll to see who had the better list. The loser gets a pie of the face.
I like winning, and I also like seeing Nate get pie thrown in his face.
That's the same thing.
Perfect.
Bye. imagination.
Oh my God.
It's been a hard day's night. Now I'm working like a dog. I want to be in America.
Free in America.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And Kyle's mom's a bitch and we're in the money. We're in the money. I'm going home. That's why did I pick that song from Rocky Horror? Don't tell mama, don't tell mama. And I need another Blues Brothers song. Anyway.
What do you want to do?
I keep thinking of Blues Brothers 2000 songs.
He just did all of mine.
No, Blues Brothers. I need a second Blues Brothers.
You did Rawhide already?
R-E-S-B-E-C-T. Wait, that's Blues Brothers 2.
Oh, Blues Brothers 2000? No! No! Anything but Blues Brothers 2000.
What's the...
Why? Why?
I thought it was in Blues Brothers 1, okay. I need to finish up.
It's the worst movie ever made. They pissed on an American comedy. Okay. What?
I'm a soul man.
Wait, where are the sunglasses?
Story, America.
When you're a jet, you're a jet.
Wait, we're singing completely different songs.
Or we could do
Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. And you know the Beatles song, Can't Buy Me Love. Are we shooting this? Let's go.
What are we doing?
What?
Let's just do transitions.